Hello class. This module we are going to be focusing on the learners in our classrooms. That can be both the traditional classroom in face-to-face, it can be hybrid, online, all types of low residency programs, etc. And we're going to be thinking about characteristics of learners. Now, Latuka and Stark make some really great statements in their chapter on learners, and that is chapter 6. So on page 146, they say, at the course and program levels, variations in students' interests, preparation, and learning styles present challenges to effective academic planning. Too often, however, learners are not consciously considered at either level of academic planning. This is the basis of your Module 3 discussion. You are actually going to be finding information about different types of learners in higher education this week. Now, what should we know about learners and about those different types of learners? Latuka and Stark say that about individual learners, we should have information about their backgrounds and preparation and ability. So a lot of that is going to come from topics such as their educational background. What type of school did they go to before they came into your higher education institution? Are they a first-generation student? Are they a student of color? Is English their second language? What are the things that we need to know about the backgrounds and their preparation that are going to impact the academic plan? And then for individual students as well, it would be helpful for us as teachers to know about their goals and their effort that they plan to apply to your particular course. We can find out a lot about motivation as well about our students, and together we can consider groups of learners in the same way, but also groups of learners have some other additional areas. So intelligence and ability, Latuka and Stark talk about how we can incorporate information about that into our academic plan. So that's a good section to focus on for your discussion. Learning styles are something to be aware of as a teacher. And again, it's not necessarily about an individual learner, but to be aware that there may be various learning styles and various approaches to learning within one particular course. So one example is to provide varied activities. In a math class, you would not want every assignment to be a drill. You would want to build in some peer-to-peer sharing and some other activities that would vary based on learning style and approaches. So how do we find out about these learners? And this is going to help you with your discussion this week. At the course level, Brookfield speaks to this in his book, in The Skillful Teacher, and I added to this as well. So at the course level, teachers can find out about the students that are in their classes by giving a survey at the beginning of the course. A lot of instructors will do this, especially for very technical courses like science, math, etc., as not only a getting to know you survey, but also what do you know? What is your background and preparation in this? Course introductions can also serve as a way to gather information about who's in your course. And then Brookfield mentions two strategies. One is called a learning audit, and you will notice that that looks very similar to my module exit ticket. And that is actually where I originally got the idea for the module exit ticket. And the critical incident questionnaire is similar to that learning audit where Brookfield is asking, what did you learn this week that was of significance to you? So those are there are additional strategies in Brookfield's book as well, but there are things that an individual teacher can do to get to know his or her learners. At the program level, If you read Latuca and Stark, you'll realize that programs are not great at collecting data about their learners. It often happens at either the course level with an individual teacher, and again, that's dependent on who the teacher is and how engaged they are. And then at the institution level. So often that program level is kind of skipped. And so it's very dependent on the specific department and program in which the student is. So student satisfaction surveys are often sent at the institution level, but could also be sent at a program level. Course evaluations are a great example of program level data because they are typically looked at as far as a department. So for example, the psychology department would look at course evaluations for the spring term as a whole and would perhaps make some decisions about their plan, their academic plan, based on those course evaluations. There may be other demographic information that a department or a program would want about their learners. And then, of course, this applies to the course level too, but just informal information that is shared from one teacher to another. Often we find out about our learners because of a previous teacher or someone who was advising the student. A few other ways we found out about learners. And, excuse me, there are two additional levels in addition to the course and program level, and that is at the institution. Most higher education institutions do have at least one person dedicated to institutional research and maintaining that data about learners. Admissions data can be very helpful in finding out what student backgrounds are like, especially as admissions counselors get to know specific schools and they see learners come from those same high schools. And then career and outcomes data, both from the career office and from the alumni office, can be really helpful in a retrospective kind of way to find out what are our learners doing after they leave. That might tell us some things about their motivations and goals that they might not even know when they're in the institution. And then finally, both Latuca and Stark and Brookfield talk about how we can gather information on learners. One survey that's national is called the National Survey of Student Engagement. And so that doesn't necessarily touch on specific curriculum issues, but it does provide a great amount of information to all types of teachers in higher education about the student body. Professional organizations and nonprofit organizations are also conducting surveys, focus groups, collecting data, and then, of course, government agencies. My example here is federal financial aid. Also, you can think about state aid. But the government agencies, of course, are collecting a good amount of data on the learners who are taking advantage of the aid packages, etc. And then there may be others as well that I've not listed here that you might be able to think of. But you can consult any and all of these sources for the discussion this week. So again, to remind you from the previous page, we find out about learners at the course level, at the program level, at the institution level, and then finally regionally, nationally, etc. So I wish you a happy discussion about these learners, and please contact me if you have any questions.